talking about heartbreaking, I quickly wanted to mention this. This is a really, really, really good clip that I pulled courtesy of Ask Pizza, who was sat down on live stream with Mike Derulo and Luka Sabbat, two kids who kind of came up in streetwear and then kind of made a name for themselves and have gone on to have some pretty decent careers. I think Mike Derulo was working for Balenciaga just before Debna left there for a while, and Luka Sabbat does a bunch of stuff. He's got his own brand, models, all that sort of good shit. And of course, Ask Pizza is known for his brand and his artistry. Funnily enough, I got a funny Ask Pizza story. When I was working at this brand, when I was working at this art materials manufacturer called Collart, big up Collart. Back in the day, I used to work at this place called Collart, where they manufacture loads of paint. They do spray paint. I think they also do the spray paint brand called Liquitex. I helped out to do some projects with them, with some graffiti artists and shit. I was in charge of doing like marketing and communications and shit. So I was also in charge of kind of doing the seeding stuff. So I take some stock that we had in the fucking warehouse down. Well, it was in that building. They have like an office in White City. It's an amazing building, to be honest. It's like, I don't know, it's like 10 floors or something. In the basement or in the ground level near the reception, they have a full gallery. There's a gallery there that they curate artists and stuff. They have a fucking they have a studios that artists can rent and can have residency at. They have fucking laboratories where they develop some of the paint, and they have different floors for the people working there in order to kind of do what they're doing. It's just a fucking great place. I love it. I loved working there, to be fair. So I used to work at Collart, and I was in charge of seeding some of the paint, and I actually got in touch with Arts Pizza. This is many years ago. And I sent him a bunch of pens and paints and stuff. I wonder if some of the stuff that he made, actually he was created with some of the paint that I sent him. Back in the day, this was many years ago. I sent that kid some paint when I was working at Collart. So nice little weird roundabout connection there. Anyway, myself aside, they got speaking about loads of stuff involving fashion, streetwear. They come up and stuff, a lot of stuff that I'm got knowledge of and experience of. But one thing that really resonated with me was this clip that I clipped where they talk about gatekeeping, and something that I kind of, had to struggle with, fight with, and kind of, I think in when I look back on it, kind of cost me a lot of positions and opportunities and, networks and friendships, because I just wasn't down with accepting the, paying your dues thing, the whole fucking, how people would gatekeep, actually some of the elders. I just wasn't down with it, and it kind of leads me to have some sort of like, public spouts, big fallouts, arguments, whatever else it may be, that I think negatively affected my career, I think, going forward in terms of that industry, because a lot of that industry, you have to just be like friendly and cool with people. And because I was always a little bit of a renegade and a bit of a rebel, a little bit hard-headed, a little bit of a prick in general, a little bit fucking full of myself, and before I know everything, I kind of how people would look at me a bit, man, shut the fuck up, do you know what I mean? Especially because I was a fucking child back then too. So they speak a little bit about it, and it's funny to hear them say stuff that I have kind of felt as well when I was coming up in the scene and industry, because I would say they are far way ahead of me when it comes to working in industry and doing their own thing, and they obviously got a lot more out of it, but they still had to go through the same hurdles and struggles, So it kind of shows you that it's not really something personal. It's a universal across the board. And I guess in most careers, especially when it comes to the arts, to be honest, right, and the entertainment, it's mostly about how much you can handle and bear. When I think back at it, I look back at some of the people I used to hang out with in the scene, especially when I think back to photographers. I'm not going to name names, but there are some people who are still doing it. They're still out here taking pictures at gallery openings, taking pictures at store openings, at, collaboration launches in store. They're there, they're out there and about. And those guys are getting hired by some of the big platforms and brands. Why? Because they're just the only ones who didn't stop doing it. They put up with all the no's, they put up with all the sunnings, they put up with all the fucking attitudes, the times that you would go to an event, you'd put your name on the list ahead of time, you get there, they say your name's not on the list, and then the person at the door wouldn't let you in, and the person that you know as a contact wouldn't come to the door, and then you feel like a fucking mug. Like, they put up with all those disrespects, all those mugging offs, and if you just are able to endure, like, it honestly is a game of resilience. However much you can endure, you are going to end up bearing the fruits of it at the end. And I think I just wasn't able to kind of endure and, put up with a lot of that disrespect, which probably wasn't disrespect, it was just the way the industry moves. So it's interesting to hear them talk about it. Anyway, this is Ask Pizza, Luka Sabbat and Mike Derulo talking about gatekeeping in fashion and streetwear scene.
I always wanted to work with Ye, right? And I got gatekept fucking crazy by a lot of people that were our friends, right?
Yep.
You had a lot of people, they were like 40 years old, going to say, oh, I want to talk, come to the Mercer, come talk with me, let's brainstorm ideas. There was a dude named Elon not Elon Musk. His name was
Rutberg.
Elon Rutberg.
Oh, wow.
And he used to invite me to the Mercer to talk with him about ideas and say, oh, I'm going to pitch Ye this thing you're talking about. We got to connect you and Ye. Never once ever connected me with Ye. Used to just pick my fucking brain. And I was dumb enough. I was naive. You know, I was fucking 15.
And we're nice people. Look.
And we're nice people. And we just love the art. We just love the art.
Will steal the energy and the inspiration from the source, and then they'll gatekeep the source to the person they're getting money from. You feel me?
Yeah, and then take the credit and act like it's they shit, and that's a lot of that happened when we were young, bro. It'd be motherfuckers that's OGs, like
they copy paste.
Man, the OGs don't have any swag. It comes from us. It comes from us. They're fucking lost and they're fried.
Facts.
It's too many people that call themselves OGs that would just steal swag and they're just like trying to little bro us and shit. Like
they ain't tastemakers, bro.
Now there are little bro. Now who's big bro?
Yeah, we gonna big bro him in the end, no matter what.
So it was a lot of people trying to sun me.
Yeah.
You know, even friends, even people I still fuck with, but I didn't forget that.
My bad.
I didn't forget that.
somebody said, duh, y'all was 15.
Yeah, but
nah, for real though. Like imagine a 15-year-old telling Kanye, "I so this my idea, bro. Like you should make a hoodie." Like I get it. But I mean, we got like in the long run, you know, we really got our way. Like,
of course,
I think everything played out.
There's no
perfectly.
denying. They're always one step behind. We got the ideas unlimited.
Now they weren't ready. They weren't ready for us to grow up.
They weren't.
Because then we weren't kids anymore. We want all the smoke now.
So yeah, great little conversation there. Really on point, everything they said. And again, it kind of reminds me of one of the like a pivotal moment I thought in terms of like my mindset and in terms of how I kind of decided in that moment to purposely kind of pull away from the scene and kind of do my own thing. And I think it was partly a mistake and also the right decision. It was a moment back in the day when I was cool with A-Side and shit. And I think I forgot what he might have invited me. I think that's when he was working maybe at a Nike still, maybe just after he left and he was doing his own thing. But I remember having this kind of conversation with him and I was getting a bit frustrated, like, because I wasn't getting any inroads. I think that was around the time where I was trying to get in on good enough, right? I was trying to get in on good enough. That wasn't happening. I was trying to get in at Give Me 5. That wasn't happening. I was trying to get in certain stores. That wasn't happening. Certain brands. It wasn't happening. And then obviously it was weird as well because just after like my generation of people couldn't, I guess, get in, for some reason the generation behind us kind of broke through, which is interesting. Which I wonder how that happened and what those kids did better than us. But either way, I wasn't getting in. Wasn't being able to get my foot in the door. And I remember having this conversation with A-Side and I was like, just like frustrated. And I think he said something along the lines of like, as a response to me being frustrated, you got to pay your dues. And I remember that triggering me to fuck. And I think we actually had a little bit of a back and forth behind it as well. And I was like, I just couldn't understand this concept. Like, why do I have to pay my dues when I know more? When I'm better? You know what I mean? Like, I just thought I was better. I thought I knew more, which I probably did, and I probably didn't too. And in that moment, my brain kind of broke. I kind of saw the scene as not a place where people would like give you an opportunity. I saw a scene as like people actively trying to keep you on the outside, giving you just enough so you can kind of, you know, feel like you're in. You get some free shoes, you get invited to this event, you get invited to that event, you might get a feature on that website, you might get an email from this person, a follow back from that person. So you're kind of involved, but you're never actually involved because they don't want you to get involved because naturally, those jobs that you're going for are jobs that most people that give a shit about clothes, most people that give a shit about music, that give a shit about fashion, that give a shit about skateboarding, that give a shit about art, that give a shit about design, like all that sort of shit, scene shit, you're going to kill for it. You're going to love it. Those are your dream jobs. So it's only natural that the people that have those jobs now, that are like, that had those jobs then when I was like 19 or something, they were like 30, 40, 50, 60, they're not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? Why would they go anywhere? Why would they give you a bring in? Why would they hold the door open for you? Of course they wouldn't, because there's a finite amount of jobs, but the jobs that are available are fucking, or the jobs that do have are fucking sick, and they come with sick kind of perks. You got to go to fashion weeks, you get invited to all the fucking Biennales and shit, you go to movie premieres, you get invited to all these mad shit, you get it's automatic like stamp. So I get why people, you know what I mean, act the way they act. So it was one of those sobering moments, and I decided in that very moment though, which I think is good of me, to be fair. One of my only strong kind of like traits as a person is that I'm not a moaner. Like, I don't moan. So if something isn't going my way, I'll just go. I'll just leave, you know? I've done that a lot even in retail back in the day. Bad example, but back in even when I used to work at retail, as soon as something I didn't like the working environment, instead of being there like and being a shitty employee, being a shitty colleague, always having a long face, dragging my feet, I'd rather just leave and go somewhere where I'm happier, you know? I might take a fucking pay, my pay might go down. It might fuck up my money in the long term, but I'd rather go somewhere where I'm happy and enjoy that than stay somewhere and be miserable, just keep complaining. And actually back then as well, not like now, the jobs were 10 a penny. You could move and get a job in like 2 weeks, easy peasy. So it's not that big of a deal. But this gatekeeper thing also though, and this like people saying taking to pay your dues, like ASAP told me, is actually also a good thing. It's a painful thing because I was kind of in at that time, right? I was friends with all kind of the right people. I was working at that 1948 store. If I really tried and I was focused and I was kind of like aware, because I really wasn't aware and I was a little bit all over the place, I could have probably did well, but I didn't. But looking back, that kind of no, or that closing of the door was also the opportunity and the chance that I needed to supercharge me to go and do my own thing. Like, I don't think I would have done all the things that I did on the side in terms of parties and zines and shit, traveling the world and stuff, doing the YouTube thing. I don't think I would have been that adventurous and done all those things and hustled and been involved in all these different cool companies I worked for and shit, like Depop and whatnot, and Dr. Martens. I don't think I would have done all that shit if I didn't get, like, brought in. Like, I wasn't never brought in. I've never had a co-sign. I mean, I've never really been in the scene. I'm kind of, like, always on the outside, which is something I've done purposely. I've kind of always enjoyed being out on the outside. But I think that early no, and me realizing quickly that, oh shit, there aren't no bring-ins. No one's holding the door open for you. No one's gonna fucking recommend you because no one wants you to take their spot naturally because these are cool jobs. So you're gonna have to either figure out your own thing or just go somewhere else. I kind of did both. I kind of went somewhere else and kind of worked more in the startup world, did that sort of shit, got my experience up, and I also was still active in the scene by, like, you know, participating in certain shit, just being around and soaking all the shit up. So when a chance did come, I could kind of jump on it. But I think those early no's were incredibly, incredibly important. But the gatekeepery is brutal. But I think nowadays, actually, this new generation of kids, they're a lot more, I feel like they're a lot more like, they're not as beholden to institutions as I was. Because when I was coming up in the scene, like, I wanted so badly to work for fucking Gimme 5, right? That group or whatever. I wanted so badly to work at fucking Supreme and shit. Well, they weren't open then, but you know what I mean? Working at Bape, all these sort of shit. Working at ID magazine, working at Days of Confused, working at fucking Fantastic Man magazine when that first dropped. Working at fucking Carla Otto, working at Protein Studios. You know what I mean? So I wanted to be involved so desperately in these places. But I feel like these kids now, especially these Gen Z kids, they're killing it because they don't give a fuck. They'd rather create their own Supreme. They would rather create their own ID magazine. You know what I mean? They're not bothered about working for these institutions. And if they do work for them, they're going to make sure that they get fucking favorable fucking salaries, favorable fucking working conditions and shit. They don't play. So I like how these new generation of kids, they demand way more and they're not that infatuated with, like, name brands and, like, institutions, big corporations and shit. They don't give a fuck, you know? It's like there's probably a kid right now who's screen printing his own t-shirts, stamping shit, spray painting shit at home, who thinks he has a better brand than Supreme, who thinks his shit is more lit than fucking Cortez, who thinks he has a better brand than fucking Stussy. And I love that attitude because I think my generation, we're a little bit more like, you know what I mean, we were kind of subservient. We always wanted a co-sign. We wanted someone to open the door for us when really you should be just like fucking taking a sledgehammer to the door and knocking it down, or, you know what I mean, taking a shovel and creating your own fucking path and laying your own fucking road and going your own direction, which is what I thankfully ended up doing. And, you know, I took some missteps. You know, I fell off a bit here and there, but I think in the end, I think it worked out to my benefit because as well, I don't also think, unlike these guys, I don't think I have the temperament to work because they don't really work in the industry anyway. They do their own thing, but I don't think I have the temperament anyway to work in those industries because in those industries, you're going to have to, like, suck up a lot of disrespect, suck up a lot of, like, nonsense. And I'm happy I didn't do that. I'm really fucking happy I didn't do that. But I thought this was a really good stream. I recommend you check it out completely. It's really fucking good. It's about 3 hours long. I watched the entire thing. Really cool to hear them speak about everything that happened back in the day in the scene and shit. You know, for some reason, Luka Sabbat is like screaming in the back there. I don't know if because he thinks the microphone's far away from him, but he's really excited. Mike the Ruler gives loads of really good information and knowledge about Balenciaga and fashion and shit. His story actually about linking up with Demno is fucking brilliant. because from the minute one, he was always obsessed with Kanye and Demna. His story about linking up with Demna at Balenciaga is so fucking good. I recommend you check out the stream. Really fucking fascinating interview. I enjoyed, live stream. I enjoyed every one of it. And I think they do them every Wednesday. No, every Thursday, sorry. I think they do them every Thursday. So big up them. Big up them. So flipping good. I enjoyed it. I recommend you check it out. It's available on Arts Pizza's Twitch stream, which is Arts Pizza 730. Arts Pizza 730. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.